Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Agoracom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives after they put out important news. With us today, the company is with us for the first time, for the third time, but with us for the first time, Vahid Shababi. Victory Square Technologies trades on the CSE under VST in the US, VSQTF, and for our friends in Europe, 6F6 on Frankfurt. For those of you new to the story, and that's still going to be a lot of you because we keep bringing on more and more people to watch this, you all know the Agoracom thesis. We've gone public with this on LinkedIn, on Twitter, everywhere. This decade is going to create 3 times more wealth from disruptive technology companies than the last 3 decades combined. We've said that AI, AR, so on and so forth. But easier said than done for most investors is, how do you participate in that? Because a lot of these technologies are new, they're emerging, they're really complicated. Victory Square gives its investors access to a basket of the best startups with maximum growth potential. And they do that by they build, acquire, invest in promising startups, all in that great world of AI, AR, virtual reality, blockchain, fintech, you name it, all the things that you know are going to be great, but you may not have time. You may not have time yourself to invest in. Okay, so that's their sweet spot, the cutting edge tech that's shaping what they call the 4th industrial revolution. More than just lip service, their net income was a record for the 9 months ended September 30th, sorry, $13.6 million. They're succeeding. GameOn, they announced a share dividend initiative for all shareholders because that's going public. We're going to talk about that. They recently sold the $6 million sale of VPN platform, where they got 4.4 million shares of Cloud9 at $1.36. That's over $2. So they're doing amazing things. Here to talk about it is Vahid. Welcome to the show, my man.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having us again. I appreciate it.
Hey, love having you. You're the chief operating officer, which means you're the guy who really knows what's going on there because you're on the operating side of stuff. Let's talk about the 2 press releases that you put out, but one was this future forecast. And a lot of companies do that, but for you guys, it really, really meant something because you're telling shareholders about a number of different things you're doing with your portfolio companies. Let's talk about Immersive Tech. That's in pre-IPO status. What do they do in 30 seconds? But then let's talk about what the status is of that going public.
Absolutely. So Immersive Tech is into the AR, VR, and creating the experiences, like a 3D and 4D experiences. So we invested it in Immersive about like 4 years ago, wholly owned by VST. And again, that's the same recipe that we have. We always try to look at the tech and the industries that is going to be big long term, and before the wave is starting. And AR, VR was one of them that we focused on that around 3-4 years ago. And they've done a great job in last 3 years. They had over 6 million revenue, roughly about 6 million revenue in last 3 years.
Wow.
They had over 60 interactive experiences with different customers in last 3 years, such as eBay, Intel, Bayer, Capital One, Sneakers. So the company, it's not startup. It's a company that has been around, has a great footprint, and a great team. More importantly, great team in AR, VR.
2 things that I love about what you just said, specific to Immersive, but it applies to all of Victory Square. 1, you guys made this acquisition 3-4 years ago. If 3-4 years ago you started talking to people about immersive experiences in AR and VR, they'd be saying, well, that's going to happen someday, so far away. It's way too early. So first, I love that you guys have that. Second of all, you guys actually nurture these companies to become real businesses at the end of the day. You're not just kind of throwing stuff on the wall to see what sticks. How do you guys do that? Find great companies and at the same time nurture them so by the time they go public, it's a fantastic standalone company.
So there are a few points around that. One is to us, Victory Square is a factory. By saying factory means we're not focusing on 1, 2, 3 companies that is going to be, it's hot right now. They're in the hot sectors right now, and then we're done. We always look at, at 12 to 36 months, and the companies that you see right now and the project that you see right now getting to liquidation and flourishing, like the VPN product that nobody, even noticing that in any of our financials in the last few years. GameOn, Fans Unite, all these companies, we started 3-4 years ago. Now we're doing the same thing for next 12 to 36 months. That we're just focusing on what's coming next. So that's one side of our business model. The second part of it is the team, man. Like I feel and we feel as a Victory Square, it's all about the team. You can have the best product, but you don't have a good team, and the product can go down. If you have a great team, we all know like the business is not a straight line. It's you have to go ups and downs, pivot. There's gonna be so many hurdles.
Circle down, up, off the grid,
100%.
back.
It goes back to the team, man. Again, like people like our investors and our partners always make fun of me that anything goes back to me to sports, but it's a 4-quarter game. It's not a 1-quarter game. Like it's we're gonna play until the very last second, and the team is the biggest thing. Now the other component, we're not a passive investors. We are hands-on. In order for us to be able to work on all these portfolio companies and projects, is to have a very solid advisory team. We're very fortunate that we have a very solid advisory team around the Victory Square technology. And when we acquire a company, based on our first analysis, we put a team together in 5 different areas: growth, operation, legal, finance, and industry expert. So we make sure the company is equipped by the right people that they can help them to go to the next level and move them forward. So in example of the Immersive, they started it from escape rooms, creating escape rooms for big companies. And that's how the team had a revolutionary journey from the beginning until now, that they're focusing on bigger customers and focusing on AR, VR, and all the other components of the the 3D and 4D experiences that they're working on. Now, when we look at it, I think COVID expedited the revolution that we're expecting to come in next 10 years. Yep. And we see 2 different type of industries. The industries that as soon as the COVID is done, is gonna go nuts. People is gonna go back to their old routine. Entertainment, travel, these are the things that they're missing right now. They're missing watching concerts or live sports. But there are industries that is gonna stay with us. It's not gonna go away. Like when you look at it, maybe 2 years ago, if you would have said, hey, my doctor is gonna see me through FaceTime, you would have laughed. But right now, there is no other way. E-commerce and the consumer's behavior has changed. Now, AR, VR is the next step. In the same way, when the COVID happened, all the communication and virtual meetings software like Zoom, they went nuts. Now the next step is virtual reality for anything and everything. So we feel, again, based on the market watch, the virtual reality is going to be $1 trillion market cap in next 5 years. Now, there are not too many AR, VR public traded companies out there. So we always want to give this chance to our shareholders to get in front of the next and the most obvious exploding industry that is coming. And we feel AR, VR is one of those that we're trying to be ready for.
And that's the massive value that I love that Victory Square brings to its shareholders. You're not just making investments and saying, okay, let's just spray a bunch of investments around and we'll go with if just 2 and 10 work out, that makes up 95% of our gains, and we'll just share that with our investors. The fact that you guys are active with these companies means that you do the work that George, the investor at home, and Mary, the investor at home, could never figure out, even if they hadn't a chance to invest in Immersive themselves 3 years ago. They really wouldn't know, where does Immersive need to go? What does it need to do in terms of business? How does it grow? So it really would be just a shot in the dark, whereas you guys eliminate a lot of that. I can't say all of it. Obviously, nobody eliminates all of it, but I love that you guys eliminate so much of that risk and give a company the best chance to succeed, because now your shareholders get the best chance to succeed.
I appreciate you saying that. So again, 100% agree with what you're saying. The other thing is, like, when we take over these companies are private companies, and we de-risk that for our shareholders. So we get them to the point that there is always companies that are spinning out. So our shareholders, they're getting a diversified access to different type of companies that they're coming from the private. When they're ready to go pre-IPO and they're getting to get public, we give access to our shareholder before anyone else. If they want to participate into the financing,
that's amazing.
They want to come in, And since this year, we work on a program. Again, no program comes as a perfect program. We have to make it better and better as we move forward with the back of our investors. But we like to also have, some sort of a small dividend from, in the spin-outs that we have, as much as we can, to our shareholders, that is, tax friendly for them, and also they also can hold directly the share and stock of any of these companies going forward.
So even if I can't invest in them for whatever reason, I'm not able to, I still, being a Victory Square shareholder, like in the game, in the experience of GameOn, you guys have that share dividend initiative for shareholders, so everyone gets to participate, not just because Victory Square owns it, but I also get a few shares in my account, and I'm a GameOn shareholder. I love that. So let's talk about GameOn. But before I talk about GameOn, I want to talk about Immersive. One more thing. You guys made an amazing announcement. And since we're talking about Immersive, I just want to stay on it for a second. That it's teaming up with, and I'm going to read this, teaming up with celebrity YouTube creator Chris Ramsay on an exclusive immersive experience that will be featured on his social media channels to a 6.4 million fans. What's going on there? And does that serve as more validation that Immersive is not only in the right space, but they're able to execute and deliver in that space?
So we had this announcement today. Chris is he's a forward-thinking person that I really encourage everyone watching this interview to go and check his YouTube channels. Then they have a better idea of what he does with the project. So we work with Chris on have an extension from the UNCONTAINED that is a new product of Immersive. And again, this partnership hopefully is gonna be on other areas as well. But right now we worked on a partnership with him on UNCONTAINED and expansion of that, based on the services that he offers and the experiences he offers on his social media channels. Because again, finding the people that they have the right audience is gonna always expedite getting the right audience. Why do we have to throw our own party when the party is out and we can just crash the party or get into the party with the same customers and the same fans?
Sure.
That's gonna it's all about the customer acquisition cost and LTV. If you can bring down the customer acquisition cost, then that's how business is gonna add to their margin. And with Chris, we're super honored to work with him. He's just such a easy to work with, smart and knowledgeable in AR/VR. And more good news will come out for all the VST shareholders and soon Immersive shareholders as soon as the Immersive goes public.
So we'll move on to GameOn, but suffice to say, Vahid, you guys are really excited about Immersive and how it's shaping up.
Absolutely, especially with the experience that we have with GameOn. We're on track and we're prepping everything to submit for GameOn public listing Q2, and we're gonna have a similar way that we've done with the GameOn for the pre-IPO financing and all that we're just gonna announce everything publicly. But we're super excited for this, especially because this market is an untapped market. If you look at the other competitors, Next Tech AR, they're roughly about 360, 340 million market cap, and the revenue in Q3 2020 was 11 million. So the multiple in this market, you're getting between 25 to 40 times of your projected revenue, which Immersive already has over 1 million revenue every year in the past few years, and roughly about almost 6 million revenue in the last 2 years. So we're super excited with the team, with the product, with the industry that Immersive is heading to.
Let's move on to GameOn. You announced the share dividend initiative. GameOn had an oversubscribed financing, correct? So excitement was that for big. And then you announced this really big addition. Not that you already didn't have great people on the GameOn board, but you announced the addition of Liz Schimmel. Am I pronouncing her name correctly?
Yep.
To the board, and she comes from nothing less than where she ran Apple News. She was the president of Condé Nast. She had really high. So you're attracting unbelievable people. So talk to me there about A, how that validates GameOn, and B, what is the timeline looking for GameOn to be listing? And if you can't give us specifics, no problem. But ballpark, what's that looking like?
Absolutely. So GameOn, we initially wanted to have a 1.5 million, pre-IPO financing. In few hours, due to overwhelming demand that we got, we have to upsize it to 3 million. And unfortunately, we had to not accept many people and go with 5.8 million from the private placement that was done a week ago. And GameOn has a great product, great team again. And they always say, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. So for us, is getting the right people that they know more than what we do in different areas, and empower the management team for all these companies to make the right moves and right decisions. We were lucky enough that Jay Moses from Take-Two, joined us as a chairman, and
massive NASDAQ company, Take-Two, TTWO, for those you don't know.
Yeah,
That's a biggie in this area.
And then we had other people joined us as an as an advisor, like Mike Vorhaus, like from DraftKings and Skills, Sean Hurley from DraftKings, Santi, our head of technology. He was working in the FIFA from EA Sports, NBA Top Shot at Dapper Labs, that right now getting a lot of attention. So Liz was another addition, but not the final addition. We're gonna have more people joining us to support the team. So Liz, again, super honored to have her on board with us. Yes, she was the head of the business at Apple News in mid-2018, president of Candy Nast for 4 years. And then before that, she was the entrepreneur in residence at Camcast Venture in 2018. She comes with, she's a veteran when it comes to digital media.
Accomplished veteran.
The connections, the experience and skill set that she brings on board with us, we're super excited and stoked for having her on board with us.
Do you have an EPA?
Sorry, your last question before I forget about the listing.
Yeah.
We're waiting. So the prospectus has been filed to BCSC and CSE, and we answered all their questions. Again, it goes back. The audit is done. We're waiting for exchange and CSE. Obviously, again, that's out of our hand. If there's any further question, they need more back and forth. Again, that's up to them. But we're on track. We're hoping to happen in March. If not, probably I would say next 30 days. Because from our perspective, everything is done. Financing is done. Team is secured. Audit is done, and prospectus has been filed.
And for everybody at home, GameOn, even though it's not in the exact same space as Immersive, is in the same neighborhood because they provide social experiences around sports, TV, and live events. And they do that for consumers, for broadcasters, for sports books. By the way, you said something interesting earlier, Vahid, and this reminded me, even though we are going to go back, right? Because some people at home might be saying, oh, people are going to go back to stadiums. They're not going to need immersive experiences. Not at all. In fact, it's going to be needed even more, right? Because we're hearing talk in the industry that, it's one thing for George to be sitting in the stadium, great. But if you can also create immersive experiences for them in real time while they're at the stadium, or if George could make it to the game for the 9 million fans, for the 9 million Dallas Cowboy fans at home that aren't at the stadium, you want to give them social experiences, pre-prediction games, or in case of immersive, you want an AR, VR kind of experiences. So I think it's only going to get stronger no matter what happens with people going back with COVID.
No, I agree with you. I mean, I didn't mean that, these experiences goes away. I'm saying people are going to go back to stadiums, but there are some that will stay with us. So like in this case of AR, VR, like AR, VR now, the way that being used, it's used for entertainment that is going to be heavily used by people. It's used for training. It's used for, a lot of different areas and industries now using AR, VR, which has nothing to do with the COVID. Yes, COVID had a start for that, but it's not going to stop. Same thing with GameOn, like gamification and having the interaction with the TV programs, with all that. That's something that the
fans doing predictions
people love. That they can't sit and watch something. It has to be both ways. So we're super excited for GameOn as well. Team has been working heavily on some of the M&As to have a great pipeline and also the product partnership. So there are so many areas that GameOn team has been working on, and we're going to have some announcement for the shareholders.
Yeah, I'm excited about GameOn. Look, like I said earlier, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. So, I would watch games, and during the middle of games, rudimentary, I'd go onto Twitter to say, what do you think about that play? I can't believe that was a dumb play, a great play. But, GameOn and Immersive just take that experience hyper deep. That's why I'm so excited about both of them. And I can't wait for GameOn, because obviously that's the one that's coming soonest. Let's move on to your future letter. Also talked about you're looking to investing $5 million in areas including, and I'm going to be devil's advocate here, but electric vehicle solution, renewable energy, plant-based comfort foods, NFT, non-fungible token, something brand new. A lot of people don't even know what that is. Telehealth, fractional trading. So I agree. Those places are going to be areas of enormous growth in the next 5-10 years. So again, you guys are ahead of the curve. Devil's advocate, there's a lot of area to cover there. How do you cover it to make sure that you guys find the best EV solution company, but also the best plant, or one of the best plant-based comfort food digital assets? How do you guys do it? Is there a chance that you guys get too overwhelmed and you just can't get it all done? And being devil's advocate, because I want to make sure.
I appreciate the question. So in order to answer this question, I'll walk you back to 36 months ago when we were focusing on gaming, AR, VR, cybersecurity, decentralized network, lead generation over the internet. So these are again, like when you look at 36 months ago, these areas were, okay, it sounds good, but how can you find the right one? For us, again, we follow our recipe, and our recipe is finding the right team and finding the industries and the product that the team is not only relevant to today, but it's thinking about ahead of the game. And again, when we're talking about EV solution, it's a very, very general,
there's a lot of different parts of that.
Like to look at instead of looking at the big picture, we'll look at the big picture, but we find small pieces of this puzzle that nobody else is looking at it right now until they need it. Because right now, people are focusing on the big things, and they're going to go after the big things. And many of these areas,
like battery metals, for example. So that's oversaturated, and there's not much more you can add to that, for example.
But just think about it. If you have examples, like if you have an online education course with having the product to sell for people, how they can set up their solar energy worldwide, right? These are the things that is scalable. Now, for all those areas, it's not we're starting right now. We have started it about 6 to 9 months ago to identify the companies and areas that we want to go after, and we have a head start on all that. All those areas that you see right now that we're ready to invest further are the one that we have already done our studies. We have already, secured the right team to find the right people, and we already have found some of the right companies that we have started some projects with them, and we're just going back to make it more completed and helping them to grow and commercialize those. They're offering their products and their services.
Of all those areas, because I love all of those areas, which one excites you the most? And I know you're really bullish on all of them, but is there a particular one, like telehealth services for pets, fractional trade, or is there any one that sticks out for you more than others, or for Victory Square more than others?
So we're looking at them from, like, we set priority based on the time. What is hot and how long is going to be the shelf time for any of those before the wave happens? So example, everyone is talking about telemedicine, right? Great companies out there, great multiples out there, but there are some missing areas. As I said, we're looking at the missing areas within the same group. There are not too many offerings for pets, right? So we're going after that. And again, that's an area that pet owner needs it more than other people to have access to that. So we set it up. We already secure some of the partnerships, licenses, and all that. But same thing when you go to fractional training or EV solutions. Some of these industries is going to be it's an option for users to use it, but soon there is no other way. People has to use it with how the population is growing, and the plant-based food, it's going to be dominant, because again, this is the future that we have to deal with it.
Yeah, I'm a Greek meat eater, and I'm eating plant-based foods already, and I'm loving them.
So again, those areas. So right now we have a timeline and a timeline for all these industries, that how quick and how fast we're gonna go to any of these. But I can tell you, for all these industries that we listed we have already started our movement, and we already secured companies or projects or partnerships.
I like that. Okay, so you're not just throwing them out there. You're already making your moves there. By the way, plant-based comfort foods, plant-based. I like that, because right now the emphasis on plant-based foods is on the big stuff, right? the actual foods. But yeah, again, a guy who loves sports, loves snacking. I'm Greek. Plant-based comfort foods would be a great new area because that's the part that usually kills us, right?
Yeah,
A
for
couple of
sure.
chicks, got a couple of popcorn, things like that, and you realize, oh man, why am I gaining weight? So if you can do that, I'm an investor. I'll tell you that right now.
Like on that topic, for example, if you look at the details right now, there are plant-based food, but not necessarily they're healthier. When you look at it, when we talk again, based on our research, there's a lot of plant-based food right now. It's not healthier than the actual like the organic food that we're getting. So we're focusing on how we can make this to taste good, to be healthier, and be a comfort food. So we go after the targeted people, and again, how we can get to them sooner than later. And again, if the party is happening, let's crash the party rather than just trying to throw our own party, and that requires time and more money.
Last question. Look, you've got 20 portfolio companies, and we've talked about a couple already, obviously, and I wish we'd cover all of them, but I'll save that for you guys. Do some big Victory Square portfolio webcast or something like that. But I would like to talk about Hydrate. Give everyone a 20-second overview, 30-second overview, and your digital health platform.
Sure. So Hydrate, when we're looking at the Hydrate to acquire them, we look at them from three different angles. One is the existing business. The business, it's not a startup. The business, when we acquired them, had about 700,000 USD, about $1 million Canadian revenue already. So that was a business going partners, customers. The other two areas that we'll look at the Hydrate, and right now, when you look at the businesses in that industry, that like for example, MedNow went public, and they're getting a massive multiple. You get a multiple of 20 to 40 easy on the projected revenue that they're having. If you look at CloudMD, MedNow, all great companies, but that's the multiple you're getting. So from the business perspective, right now, Hydrate this year, again, in forward-looking statement, they projected it and they're on track to hit the 5 million revenue just by their own business. Now, the other two areas that we looked at the Hydrate, number one was their tech. The second was the licenses. We can reuse their tech or adding some component to it for our other divisions on the digital health, for pets, mental health, discrete care, and also all that is going to be in different jurisdictions. We have already started in Brazil with the VSH that they're going to start launching, Hydrate and other components soon, and also in Canada, and we're looking at other areas as well. The third part was the licenses. The license, for example, they have 503 pharmacy license in the United States that they can sell, any pharmaceutical product online, and they have their own e-commerce. Great revenues coming from that, but we can use that or their license, the partnership that they have to use the license to have telemedicine in 50 states. These are the ones that we can build on top of it and create different arms under our digital health. And with the multiple that we're seeing on all that, any of these by itself is going to be $100 to $500 million company if we will look at it separately and do the right thing at the right time.
So digital health going to be a big part. I mean, I'm a big believer that the days of George isn't feeling well, I got to call my doctor, make an appointment for 10 days from now, wait in a waiting room for 2 hours are done. And COVID obviously accelerated all that. But I'm looking forward to the days where I'm wearing a wearable that's artificial intelligence driven with sensors on it that knows exactly my state of health, personal, customized to me. It knows and then reacts, not just knows, but reacts. Say, hey, George might be having there's a 72% chance George gonna have a heart attack in the next 45 minutes based on the sensors we're reading here. We're gonna send an AI, a drone or somebody on an autonomous flying vehicle. Believe it or not, because they're doing this in Dubai right now, where first responders are showing up on autonomous vehicles, which is unbelievable. So we're just scratching the surface for digital health.
I agree with you, but it's very interesting you said that because we started that project. So we have a partnership with BC Diabetes, Dr. Tom Elliott, and that's his product. So he has some wearables for diabetes that at any given time look at your sugar level and tell you, hey, if you need to eat, you need to have insulin, or the doctor needs to look at you, and the doctors in Dr. Tom Elliott's office, they look at it in the live platform of all the patients that they have, and they have a few thousand patients that at any given time, where is their sugar level and what needs to be done. So we actually started that project with them, and we'll have a partnership. We have some announcement on that as well.
Wow.
That we're going to expand, the Hydrate and our telemedicine offering through the wearables as well. And that's one of the few products that we've been working on and have a partnership with. But yeah, and that's a good example. I mean, BC Diabetes, Dr. Tom Elliott, all the viewers can take a look at their website. Again, super stoked to have people like him around us that helped us to find the right solutions and completing them.
Fahid, we could go on talking about Victory Square for literally another 2 hours. That's like 3 or 4 of your portfolio companies that we've talked about. So for everybody at home, when this is done, you got to get to victorysquare.com. You obviously have to go there, and you have to go to the portfolio section and just scan each one and see how exciting. And they're on those pillars, right, that you guys have talked about: blockchain, artificial intelligence, DNA sequencing, robotics. Those are you've got 4 or 5 pillars there that you think are going to drive this fourth revolution, this fourth industrial revolution. But I'm glad for shareholders in the small cap space that they have a vehicle like Victory Square. Now, we can't tell them to go make the investment, but I think we made a pretty compelling argument as to why people should go do their due diligence and look closer. But before I do the sign off, I'm going to leave last word with you, and then we'll sign off.
I appreciate it, George. I appreciate giving us the time. And my last word will be, as we mentioned in the release, we're maintaining the pace of the Q3 for our financials for Q4, and we're on track for announcing and filing our year-end financial by end of April. Those are all audited financials that we're going through the audit right now. All the valuations, all the numbers are by the third-party companies. And as we stated in the release, we're maintaining the same pace at the Q3 for Q4 and Q1. And again, we appreciate your time and all the shareholders for their support and feedback. That means a lot to us. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, you're welcome. And like I said, you guys make it easy because you're doing such amazing things that it's easy to talk about these and then have something to look forward to next time. For everybody at home, you've been watching or you've been listening by podcast on Spotify, Google, Apple, your favorite podcast platform. To Vahid Shababi, he's COO, Chief Operating Officer of Victory Square, trades on the CSE under VST, on the US VSQTF, and for our friends in Europe, 6F6. You now have to go do your due diligence. And we know that a lot of these concepts, the great thing about Victory Square is they're going into brand new markets where the party is and enhancing those. But, a lot of us still don't understand AI, AR, virtual reality, immersive experiences. So we know there's a lot to absorb. Get to Agoracom first to start your due diligence. Go to the hub, take a look at the profile page, and we kind of break everything down there in layman's terms for you. Then go over to the Victory Square, as you can see right above Vahid's head, victorysquare.com. Get over their site, do more due diligence. I'm going to say this, but you got to make your decision. This decade is going to create 3 times more wealth from disruptive tech companies in all those fields we've been talking about than the last 3 decades combined. So if you think, oh, I missed Netflix, I missed Tesla, you did. But this decade is going to create 3 times more wealth from companies that you've never even heard of yet. And you've heard of just a couple of them here in this podcast, in this webcast. So you've got to do your diligence. Don't say we didn't tell you so. If you don't have the time to make these investments, if you don't have the time to do the research, then you got to consider Victory Square as your proxy, where you say, all right, at least if I invest in Victory Square, I get the benefit of all this. But you got to make that decision. We can't make it for you. Hope you had a great day. Hope you discovered your next great small cap company. Don't say we didn't tell you so. Talk to you next time.